Hello, it's Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, and today I wanted to do a little random and ramble with you and show you some of the decks that I've been favoring, decks that are on my forevers, and decks that I've quite forgotten. I've tried to narrow this down to just 5 each, which was really difficult to do, and I totally cheated in my forevers category. But if I didn't put a cap on it, we would be here all day. So let's jump right in with the 5 decks that have been some of my favorites as of late. So these first few decks are going to be no surprise to anybody who's seen my channel lately. The first deck that I have been totally loving lately is the Llewellyn Tarot, and here is the beautiful backs. And I have gushed about this deck on my channel multiple times, and I have done walkthroughs of this deck. So I'm not going to show you like all the cards. I'm not going to talk about it too terribly much because yeah, I gushed about it in other videos, but I just really love this deck. It's surreal, but it's real. It's this interesting blend, and it really gets to the heart of the matter, and I really just enjoy working with it, and I absolutely love the imagery. I have my 2 favorite cards right on top. There's another card in here that I just want to show you real quick. Love the Wheel of Fortune. Love the World. Oh, and this one. The 9 of Bones. Absolutely love that one. Oh, and I love the Chariot. I love the Snail. And I didn't think I would, but oh, the Chariot is just one of my favorite cards in this deck. So yeah, so that is the Llewellyn Tarot, and it is just an amazing deck. Like I said, if you want to hear me gush about it some more, check out my walkthrough on it. So that is the Llewellyn Tarot. So the next deck I've been really loving, again, no surprise, it is the Earthbound Oracle. And this one, again, is another deck that I have gushed about on my channel. I have a couple of my favorite cards right here on top. It's just a beautiful deck. It's so simple, but it's so deep, and I love it. And the keywords are great. I love that there's a nice mix of light and balance, and it works beautifully with the Llewellyn Tarot, but it also pairs really well with lots of other decks. So that is the Earthbound Oracle, another deck that I have been loving right now. The next deck is another one that will probably be no surprise. It is the Roots and Wings Oracle deck. I've kept those in there. And this one is, here's the backs. This one is gorgeous, and I absolutely love the imagery, and it reads so well. It pairs so beautifully with all kinds of decks. It's just gorgeous. It's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. And I do have to say that after using it for a while I have gushed about this cardstock because it's like this rubbery, rubbery rose petal feeling, and it shuffles beautifully. It does not slide together very well, so it's a little bit sticky, and that's been a little bit of a challenge working with this deck, but I love feeling it though. I mean, it's so great to feel. It's so great to shuffle. It just doesn't it kind of sticks a little bit in going back together. But again, another beautiful deck, and one that I have totally been favoring lately. So the next deck that I have been favoring lately is my Modern Spellcasters. And this is a deck that you will notice, well, let's check out the backs because the backs are really awesome. This glossy kind of cardstock does get fingerprints on it. I do intend to edge this deck. This deck is one that you'll see it's still totally in order because I've been kind of doing a mini study with it. But I was drawn to this deck, and I don't know, it's not really my usual thing, but I love the images, and the more I looked at it, the more I wanted to know more about the cards. So I kind of ended up doing a little mini study on it. I am going to do a much deeper deck dive with it. I am going to use my Tarot Bound guide with it, just so that I can dig deep into it, because I just love these images. They are so gorgeous. And they are just there's so much like esoteric goodness in here that I just really want to explore it deeper. So that is the Modern Spellcasters. And the last deck on my list that I've been favoring is by no means the last deck that I've been favoring, but like I said, if I didn't pick just 5, we'd be here forever. So of my top 5, this one, the Field Tarot, is just one that's kind of been blowing me away. I do have a walkthrough coming of this deck as well, but this deck is so beautiful. It is so simple. Now again, I have a couple of my favorite cards here on top. Just the imagery is really, really simple. It's very soft. It's very feminine. It has a very botanical feel, but it also is very pippish, which I really, really enjoy. And it's just a gorgeous deck. And I really connect with it. This is kind of what I was hoping, my connection that I'm making with this deck is kind of what I was hoping would happen with my Moonchild. Again, there's that 3 of Swords, and, you know, not really fond of the keywords, I do have to say. Not really fond of the keywords on, well, that's a title, on the, on some of the cards. Some of them work really well and some of them don't, but it's just this imagery. It's very understated. And I just really, really like it. So that is the Field Tarot. While the decks I'm favoring tend to rotate around, usually including any newer decks that I've been playing with, there are several decks that remain a constant part of my tarot practice. So these are the decks that not only have a special place in my heart for sentimental reasons, but they also have a very specific function in my practice. So the first deck on my forever list will be no surprise to anyone because it always shows up on my channel. Ta-da! My Llewellyn. This is my trimmed version. I know you guys have seen it a million times, so I'm not going to go into it, but this is my deck that is in my practice and an important part of my practice because this is my comfort deck. This is the one that I go to whenever I am just not feeling it with any other deck and I need some guidance. It's my always deck as well as my forever deck. So I've trimmed it, I've edged it. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Absolutely love it. Again, my like #1 comfort deck. So that is my Llewellyn Tarot. The next deck on my forever list is my Anna K. And again, this one will be no surprise. I actually have 2 copies of this because I made a mini version. This is the full size, beautiful backs on it. And this deck is one that just, you know, it's the deck that I turn to a lot of times for family issues and for just everyday life things. It's kind of a workhorse deck for me. I use it quite a bit. I just love the characters in it. I love their facial expressions. I just get so much out of this deck. And again, it's another sort of one of my comfort decks as well, but it definitely kind of has its place as my kind of grounded deck, my really, you know, rooted in earth deck, the one that I turn to for really practical things. And it's always there for me for that. So that is the Anna K. So next up is my Mary L, and this is the first edition, and I have modded this one all up. This is a deck that is really special to me. I use it mostly for shadow work and for really diving deep into the subconscious realm and really picking out those underlying issues. It is, you know, everybody's seen the artwork. It's so gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I know that in the second edition, there have been some card changes, and I've gone back and forth about whether or not I want it. I want the second edition, but some of the card changes, like here's the Hierophant. It took me a long time to come to terms with the Hierophant, but now I have, and we kind of have an understanding, and I kind of hate to replace her. The High Priestess is another one in the new edition that I'm not as fond of. I mean, it's fine. They're all beautiful, but I like the one in this edition better. As you can see, I have trimmed this because this is the first edition. I have edged it and I have backed it in black contact paper. So it is a chunky monkey now, which you've probably seen. But I use it a lot and it holds up really well. So, and sometimes I use it in in sort of magical workings and stuff as well. So having it with that really, you know, heavy duty holding up to whatever I put it through is really great. So that is my Marielle. So up next is another deck that has been featured quite often on my channel. I have a whole video on this process, but this is my reordered and recreated, really, Nicoletta Ciccoli. And this is a deck that I use quite frequently for inner child work. It's sticking together really bad. I have reordered all of these cards. As you can see, I've taken the title off of them and I have a whole video on it. I edged it and I rebacked it in the black contact paper. And again, it's another deck that holds up really well to the use and abuse that I give it. This is a deck that I use a lot of time for inner child work and, you know, for healing, really, actually. This is not a card that's original to the deck. I added this card. Again, that's in that video on restructuring the Nicoletta. So that is my Nicoletta Ciccoli. The next deck is still in this sad wonky bag that I really need to remake another bag for it because this one was just like, it's too big, it's wonky, it's crazy. Bad bag. But this is my Chez Monet. I don't know how you say it. Some people say Chez Monet, Kai Monet. I just say Chez Monet. But anyway, however you pronounce it, this is my Chez Monet Tarot. And this is a deck that I primarily use for like my soul work. And it is just, you know, for tapping into that inner voice. That's really what this deck does really well for me is to tap into the inner voice and really get to that deep core message. And I love the artwork. It's just beautiful. It's a very nurturing deck as well, but it doesn't pull any punches, and I really like that about it. And it's just gorgeous. It's a very soulful deck. To me, I would consider this like where the Llewellyn is my comfort deck. This is like the Chez Monet is like my soul deck. I just love it. It's beautiful. It speaks to me on that deep level. So just gorgeous. So that is the Chez Monet Tarot in its sad little wonky bag that needs a new one. Okay, and the last deck in my Forevers list, and I totally cheated because this is actually deck number 6, but you know, I make up the rules so I can cheat if I want to. This is my Darkness of Light Tarot, and this is, I believe, the 2nd edition, and I have edged it in black. This is a deck that is in my collection. I mean, not only is this is a deck that will probably forever be in my collection, not only because it's absolutely beautiful and I really love reading with it. It has my favorite Chariot card of all times. This deck will probably always be a forever in my collection because when I do readings for other people, this tends to be the deck that I use. And that is mostly because this is my most requested deck. Now, I don't read professionally. I only read for, you know, friends and family and myself. But when I read for friends and family, this is the deck that everyone wants. This is the deck that connects really well for other people. Why are you upside down? And I mean, I use it a lot for myself as well, but it's just the deck that everybody wants. Everybody wants readings with this deck. It's familiar, it's comforting, but it's also, you know, tells it like it is. And I think that that's really what is appreciated about it. And it's just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning deck. Cardstock's not my favorite, but it's not too bad. So that is the last deck in my Forever collection. That is the Darkness of Light Tarot. With so many new decks coming into my collection on a pretty regular basis, and my personal tendencies to favor some decks over others, I find that sometimes decks get lost in the shuffle. So while sadly I have many more, these 5 decks represent the lonely and forgotten in my collection. These are the decks that I love and just haven't used for a long while, as well as decks that I purchased, placed on a shelf, and then promptly forgot about. So first up in my forgotten selection is my Black Lily Tarot. And this is a deck that I absolutely love. Love the backs too. Love the size of it. for the most part, I love everything about this deck. And I just kind of tucked it away in my box and I just haven't brought it out to use it. But the images are just evocative. And this is like a deck that tells it like it is. Like, this deck takes no shit. It is just to the point. It is direct. And I really appreciate that about it. And I really like the imagery. This is a great deck when you just want to hear it like it is. You don't want any bullshit. Just tell me what I need to know. This is a deck that's great for that. And it's just been forgotten as of late. And I need to pull it back out and use it again because I absolutely love it. And I just tucked it away for a while and it got forgotten. So that's one that I need to bring back out because I absolutely love it. So that is the Black Lily Tarot. So my next deck, my next little forgotten deck is the, this is the Sacred Traveler's Oracle, but I have squared mine. So I've taken all the titles and keywords off of it. Here's what the backs look like now. And I've made it a little square pocket deck and I read with it intuitively. And I completely love this deck. As you can see, it's all turned around because I also read with this deck directionally. But I absolutely love this deck. I love the artwork. I get great intuitive messages from these cards. And again, this is another one that I've just kind of, it got tucked away. I got so many new oracles in that this one just kind of hit the back burner and it's kind of been forgotten. So I need to bring it back in and let it, you know, have some playtime in my rotation because it's one that I get great messages on and I just absolutely love it. The artwork is so wonderful. It's just a beautiful deck. Yeah. So that is the Sacred Traveler's Oracle. So the next deck is a deck that I'm kind of ashamed of myself for having forgotten about it. This is the Textured Tarot. And I got this deck in, it was in a whole, like I got a whole bunch of decks in at one time, like a few months ago. And this was one of them. And for some reason, it just got shoved to the side and I completely forgot about it. I've only looked through it. I really haven't done any readings with it. And I just absolutely love this artwork. I think I got drawn in to the Moonchild because I think I got them both at around the same time. And for some reason, the Moonchild just got, it got preference over the Textured Tarot. But this one, I actually like the imagery of the Textured Tarot better than the Moonchild, to be perfectly honest with you, for the most part. As you can see, like besides the majors, they're still in order. Like how sad is that? Look how beautiful they are though. Anyway, so I need to get this deck out. I need to work with it. I want to do a deep dive with it. I just absolutely love the imagery. I should get my big fat thumb out of the way. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. I really do love this deck. I really do love this artwork. Even though it's a collage deck, which usually isn't really my thing, turns out maybe it kind of is. Yeah, it's just beautiful. So I need to spend some time working with this one, and I'm totally ashamed of myself for buying it and then shoving it in a box and totally forgetting about it. So that is the Textured Tarot. The next deck that I purchased it, threw it in a box and forgot about it, is the Wild Offering Oracle. So I kind of went on an Oracle binge a couple of months ago, and I bought a ton of them. And this is one that it's gone on and off my wish list multiple times, but there's the box with the elephant, which I love, and it's a gorgeous little oracle. There is some of the verbiage in here is a little much for me and doesn't really resonate, but you know me, I'm gonna alter it and make it fit. So I love the artwork. This Katie Daisy's artwork, I think it's just absolutely beautiful. I do have this one in a journal. But again, just another book another deck that I bought and shoved on a desk or in a box and I haven't used. So it's just kind of sad. So that is another one that I need to get out and use. That is the Wild Offering Oracle. The sun is creeping in on us. So the last deck I have on my forgotten list is the Conscious Spirit Oracle deck. And again, this is another deck that I purchased in my sort of Oracle buying frenzy. And I didn't use it. I haven't used it. It's still completely in order and all of that. But while the artwork is really not my favorite on this deck, I mean, it's beautiful. Really what I liked about it was I liked the keywords and the key phrases, which is not something that I usually say, but I like the context of this deck and the content within it. I like that it has the chakra cards and it has different elemental cards. And yeah, I really wanted to use this in terms of my spiritual practice to kind of pull some of these in. Like I still have that in there. And it just, you know, it just never happened. Just one of those things that never happened. Here's the backs, which are a bit busy for me, but still work. So that's another one that I need to, of course, make a bag for and bring it into my practice. So that is the Conscious Spirit Oracle deck. I would love to hear about the decks in your collection that are your favorites, forevers, and forgotten too. So let me know in the comments below or create your own video response. So thank you so much for joining me for this random and rambly look at my favorites, forevers, and forgotten decks. I look forward to seeing you again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.